Iceberg videos. Fire Emblem. It's really not that hard to put two and two together. The original image was made by Useless Logan's Login, so shout out to them for creating it, as well as helping me with a few points and giving me explicit permission to make the video. The link to the original Iceberg, as well as all sources of gameplay footage, will be in the pinned comment. Also, there will be some spoilers for every game in the franchise, so you have been warned. Crest cancer. Lysithea is a character who has a second crest because they were subject to unethical human experimentation at an early age. And it's stated several times that these experiments have significantly reduced her lifespan, so many people in the fandom refer to this condition as crest cancer. Byleth is a stillborn. Byleth is the main character of Fire Emblem Three Houses, and they show very little emotions. Later in the game, it's revealed that this is because they had an unnatural birth, to the point where they were born without a heartbeat. While the word stillborn hasn't explicitly been used in the game, it's very clear that Byleth's condition would be medically classified as a stillbirth. Ike and Soren's relationship. Ike and Soren are the Lord and Tactician of Path of Radiance, and there's a lot of hints toward the two of them potentially having a gay relationship. There's even one source that states that Ike does not care for the affection of women, which supports this gay reading of the character. Awakening could have been the last game in the series. There was a point where the series wasn't doing well in terms of sales, so Awakening was originally meant to be the last installment in the series. However, it sold well, so this wasn't the case. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing is up to you. GBA enemy control glitch. There's a glitch in FE7 where if you use a mine and turn off the game at the right time, you can control all of your enemies for a turn. You can make these enemies do some crazy stuff, whether it's dropping all their items or giving unobtainable items to the player. In FE8, the glitch is still there, but the mine item isn't obtainable, so you have to use damage-dealing tiles instead. 313 Archer. The 313 Archer is an allied sniper from Chapter 313 of Radiant Dawn. They became well known for their ability to fight off a large number of enemy units, so they were one of the earliest memes related to Fire Emblem. FE4 Jealousy is a glitch. Jealousy is a hidden part of FE4's love mechanics that can be used to obtain additional love points. Many people believe that this mechanic is a glitch because it allows Celes and Julia to pair up with each other when they shouldn't be able to for obvious reasons. Okay, so important disclaimer. The last two topics in this layer are the only two parts of the entire iceberg that deal with potentially upsetting subject matter. If you're not comfortable hearing about any of the topics shown in the content warning on screen, you can skip to the time seen below. Marianne commits suicide. This is a popular fan theory about Fire Emblem's Three Houses. Marianne is a character who shows many signs of depression, and after the game's time skip, she won't be present in any shape or form unless you specifically go out of your way to recruit her. This has led many people to believe that Marianne commits suicide if you don't recruit her. Christopher Niosi. Chris Niosi was the original voice actor for male Byleth, and they are a legitimately terrible person. Just before Three Houses release, they were outed as an abuser and then admitted to these claims. Early in the game's lifespan, their voice lines were replaced with those of another voice actor, Zach Aguilar. While it's easy to think that Nintendo made this change because of the claims against Niosi, it's unfortunately not that simple. This change was instead made because Niosi violated a non-disclosure agreement. BS Fire Emblem. BS Fire Emblem, or alternatively Arcania Saga, was a Fire Emblem game that was released for the Satellaview in 1997 and consisted of 4 playable maps that expand the story of the Arcania games. These 4 maps went on to become unlockable extras in FE12. Silver Snow was the first route made. The May 2020 issue of the Japanese Nintendo Dream magazine contained an interview with Three Houses development staff. Within this interview, said staff confirmed that Silver Snow was the first route they plotted out. Intern Kun. I don't play Faye because I'm not a gambling addict, but Intern Kun is a meme among fans of the game. Basically, every time that something from the game gets leaked, people attribute it to this Intern Kun guy. Scafatch's name change. Oh, and also Intelligent Systems accidentally hinted at an FE4 remake. I'm going to combine one of the ones from this layer with one from the bottom layer since it's easier to explain that way. In FE4, there was a playable Myrmidon by the name of Scafatch. They returned in FE13 as a Spot Pass unit, but their name was changed to Ulster. When characters that mentioned their name were brought to heroes, they kept the name Ulster, but strangely, their name was changed back to Scafatch in an update for seemingly no reason. Many of the more tinfoil hat-wearing parts of the FE community believe that this has something to do with a possible FE4 remake, but a possible explanation emerged after the creation of this iceberg. Faye recently had another name change where this time a Jugrel kingdom by the name of Alistair has been renamed to Ulster, so it's likely that Scafatch's name change was to prevent possible confusion, although this has led many to question why Alistair's name was changed in the first place. There are 2 gatekeepers. The gatekeeper is a Three Houses NPC who became one of the game's most widespread spread memes. They're present in the first half of the game, as well as 3 of the 4 Part 2 routes, but they couldn't be in the Crimson Flower route for story reasons. As such, the Gatekeeper you see in the route is the brother of the original Gatekeeper. Beta Mercedes design. In an early trailer for Three Houses, the character Mercedes was seen with a different hair color. Radiant Dawn translation errors. There are so many of these errors that I'm only going to cover the 2 most interesting ones. The first error is that the names of the difficulty modes were translated incorrectly, which led to many people playing on a harder difficulty than they expected, and even caused the game to receive worse reviews when it came out. The other notable error is that while the Japanese version gives you an extended script as a reward for choosing a harder difficulty, the English version only translated the script that was used on the lowest difficulty. So essentially, us English speakers were robbed of several lore details. Over 100% crit. There are several units throughout the series whose crit chances can reach over 100%. The most notable of these units is Rutger from FE6. His stats are already built in such a way that he has a high amount of crit, and the bonuses from his class as well as any weapons he uses only add to this. Roy's first in-game appearance was Super Smash Bros. Melee. This is referring to the fact that FE6 was released in 2002, while Super Smash Bros. Melee was released in 2001, which means that Roy was in Melee before any Fire Emblem game. Azure Moon route split. Within Three Houses files, there is unused enemy data for fights against Felix and Annette during the Azure Moon route. This unused data has led many to believe that there have been plans for a route split, but I can't find any official confirmation for this. Fire Emblem OVA. In the 90s, there were 2 anime episodes based on Marth's journey. They're notable because the greatest character in the franchise appears in them.
That's enough, Gordon! Let them go!
Let them all go? But more!
Female War Master. In Three Houses, the War Master class is locked to males only. However, in the Azure Moon route, Claude's army will contain a female War Master. Any unit can use Dark Magic and Sacred Stones. If you use the enemy control glitch from before, you can give any unit the Stone Spell and repeatedly use that to increase their Dark Magic level. Eventually, any unit will gain the ability to use the Flux Tome. BSFE is officially considered as FE5. There was a brief period between the releases of FE12 and FE13 where Nintendo considered BS Fire Emblem to be the true FE5, although Nintendo eventually stopped doing this. Someone botted votes for George in Choose Your Legends. George is a merchant from Radiant Dawn and a pretty forgettable character in the grand scheme of things. In the 3rd Choose Your Legends event, George mysteriously shot up in votes, and in the 4th Choose Your Legends event, they got even more votes. Many people believe that this was done through botting, and there's one person who apparently confessed. Phoenix Master did a video on this, so go watch them if you want to know more. Hegemon Edelgard HP Overflow. This is a really cool glitch that can be used when you face the Azure Moon final boss on the hardest difficulty. Basically, if you get them to exactly 196 HP, they will immediately die when they use the fort they're standing on. FE exists in the Paper Mario universe. In Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door, there's an NPC who mentions playing all sorts of games. One of those games is FE7. That poor soul. Rallyman. Rallyman is a master of arms that you can capture in Conquest. On the hardest difficulty, they will have access to 4 different rally skills. They can be incredibly useful in the coming chapters, and as such, they have attained meme status among the fanbase. Killing Fargus in FE7. Fargus is a character in FE7 who you have to talk to in order to clear his map. He has extraordinarily high stats for the point of the game his map is in, so it's incredibly hard to beat him without using hacks. In spite of this, the devs programmed a death quote for him. Fourth 3DS FE game. There's a rumor that there was going to be another game for the 3DS that was cancelled after the Bowser's DeviantArt story remake crashed and burned. This rumor has become the basis for a lot of the speculation about what the next Fire Emblem game will be. Tear Ring Saga was meant to be a successor to Fire Emblem. Tear Ring Saga was a game created by series creator Shozo Kaga after they left Nintendo and was actually originally named Emblem Saga. It was intended to be a spiritual successor to Fire Emblem, but then Nintendo's lawyers showed up and fucked everything up. However, Kaga is still creating tactical RPGs, and his newest one, Visteria Saga, is currently available on Steam. Mario Kart Double Dash bonus disc. This is a disc that people got for pre-ordering a certain game. I honestly can't find any information about which game that one is supposed to be though. It had a ton of demos for upcoming games, and you could get some bonus items and songs if it was connected to FE7. Fergus is Beowulf's illegitimate son. Fergus is a playable free knight from FE5, and their ending hints that they may be the son of Beowulf from FE4. Early versions of Nintendo's website have apparently confirmed this to be true. Kishuna and Merlinus battle sprites. Merlinus and Kishuna are two FE7 characters who lacked any combat abilities and will not have any animations on when they're attacked. However, both of these characters have full battle sprites that can be seen in the class reel that plays on the title screen. Stealable Loptos Sword. The Loptos Sword is a weapon used by Raedric, a boss from FE5. It can be stolen from him for the use of a thief, but none of the playable units are capable of using it, so it's not like there's much of a point. Fiona was meant to have higher base stats. Fiona is a Lance Knight from Radiant Dawn who is well known for being absolutely terrible at combat. Her base stats are significantly lower than what they should be at her level, which has led many fans to believe that some playtester wanted to make her more powerful but messed up and increased her level instead of her base stats. Kaga hates axes. This is a joke among the fandom based on the fact that the games directed by Kaga tend to have some questionable decisions when it comes to axe units. For example, Marty from FE5 has some laughable base stats, and FE3 Book 2 does not include a single playable axe user. FE64. There was going to be a Fire Emblem game on the Nintendo 64 that made use of the 64DD add-on. However, said add-on was a flop, so the game was cancelled and several of its elements were reworked so that they could be used in FE6. Saving Quan and Eflin. Quan and Eflin are playable units in FE4 and are parents of future protagonist Leif. Eventually, they do exactly what you would expect a Fire Emblem Lord's parents to do. However, it's possible to prevent this from happening using a specific course of action, but they will never appear again, even if they survive. Sigurd in Smash 64 and Leif in Super Smash Bros. Melee. I'm going to group both of these together because I'm going to end up saying the same thing. These were two popular rumors among Smash fans, and both of them are false. There is no evidence that Sakurai has considered either of them. The closest thing to a single piece of evidence is the appearance of both of them in the Japanese Smash 2 poll, but that doesn't inherently mean that any of those characters were considered. FE5 Theme of Love. This is a track from Thracia 776 that only plays in such a specific circumstance that many fans thought it was unused. Basically, what you have to do to hear this track is let Nana die in the arena and then make sure that Leif is the one who opens the door to said arena. Anyway, in the early days of the Fire Emblem fandom, there were forums dedicated to debating which units were better than the others. Inui is a pretty notable member of these forums thanks to some videos made by Mecha, a popular content creator within the Fire Emblem fandom. Hey, sorry if this fucks up the flow of the video, but while I was in the middle of editing, I realized that there was more to the story than what I initially thought. You see, in addition to being prolific in the Fire Emblem fanbase, Inui was also a competitive Smash player, and they've had a lot of heated gaming moments, to put it lightly. These heated gaming moments include saying racial slurs, selling drugs, and getting arrested for, I kid you not, attacking someone with a samurai sword. Anyways, back to the iceberg. Nate. Nate was an unused playable unit that was found in the prototype build of FE8. In this build, Nate was a Wyvern Rider, and Cormac was a mercenary as opposed to the playable Wyvern Rider that we ended up getting. Penta-Axe General. The Penta-Axe General is a capturable enemy from FE5 that is notable for having 5 axes. Like the other nameless units before him, he has gained meme status as a reward for his valiant efforts. What actually happened to Dorcas? This is a reference to an infamous commercial for FE7 where the character Dorcas drops dead because of poison muddin. Fodlan and Magville exist in the same universe. Sacred Stones is one of the few installments in the franchise to have players fight monsters in tandem with the typical human enemies. So when Three Houses was revealed to have similar enemy monsters, some people thought that it was connected to FE8 in some way, although this has since been proven false. FE mangas. Several games in the series have had official tie-in mangas. Some are just 4-comas, and others are full-on adaptations of the game. Zane in Tear Ring Saga. In an early interview, Kaga once hinted at Zane from FE1 appearing in Tear Ring Saga, but this did not come to fruition. In the finished product, the character Narcissus is believed to be Zane's replacement, as both units have the ability to transform. Pokemon Conquest was meant to be a crossover with Fire Emblem. In a 2016 interview, one of Nintendo's producers revealed that a crossover between Fire Emblem and Pokemon was once proposed. However, this proposal was rejected because of Pokemon Conquest, a Pokemon crossover with another series in the same genre. Maybe one day this crossover will actually happen, and we can find out that our favorite Fire Emblem characters are para-flinching pieces of shit. Fates is a porn manga written by Inigo. This is a joke theory that got posted on r/Fire Emblem and received a shit ton of Reddit karma. I'll link it in the pinned comment if you want to read the full thing. Emblem Saga Demo. The aforementioned Tear Ring Saga game actually had a demo in the Dengeki PlayStation D43 magazine. On top of having several minor differences, this demo is significant because it was made before the game's name was changed. Nils is Forsetti. Nils is a playable dragon from FE7, and Forsetti is one of the dragons that descended upon the Crusaders at Darna in FE4. There's a lot of similarities between between the two dragons, which has led to a theory that both of them are the same entity. Playable Reinhardt in a future Thracia remake. This is one of the few joke entries on this iceberg, so props to the original creator for not going with the obvious ones. Reinhardt is an unrecruitable boss from FE5 that became fairly popular due to his inclusion in Heroes. So many people fear that if FE5 is remade, Reinhardt's popularity will result in him becoming playable, which will ruin the entire point of his character.
Talk about a poggers moment.
And that's the end of the video. Big thanks to Logan's Login, as well as all of the gameplay and research resources I used. This is pretty different from what I normally do, so if you want to check out my usual content, I'd recommend the video on the Countdown community. I appreciate all likes, subscriptions, comments, and algorithm stuff that I get, and if you want to find out more about what I've been up to, my Twitter handle is @YTGnome. Bye-bye!